Chapter 27. Nala. Nala's eyes popped open. A wide smile broke out across her face as excitement hummed from the ends of her paws to the tips of her ears. She didn't need Zazu to wake her up this time. The anticipation zipping through her veins was more than enough to do the job. She pushed herself up and stretched her front legs out in front of her, feeling refreshed and ready after much-needed rest. The plan had been to make it past Mount Kai, but according to Scar, their sail down the river after their run-in with the Hatari Pride had taken them too far away from the mountain to get there before they would need to sleep. Nala hadn't wanted to say anything at the time, but she nearly cried with relief when he suggested they hunker down for a few hours in a cave not far from the river. She had been so exhausted that she could barely stay upright, but now she was wide awake and ready for what today promised to bring Simba. She was going to see Simba! Not so fast. She had to tamp down her excitement. She had warned herself from the very outset of this mission that finding Simba was not a guarantee. The reported sighting could turn out to be nothing more than a disappointing case of mistaken identity, just as all the others had been up to this point. She could not lose sight of that. Yet Nala could not ignore the feeling tingling in her gut that told her this was real, that Simba was alive, and that she was going to bring him home. But she had to find him first. She dashed over to where Scar lay against the wall, his snores echoing around the entire cave. "Wake up!" Nala said, pushing at him with both paws. Scar had told her before they settled in for the night that if they left at dawn, they should arrive in Garamba well before the sunset. "The sun is coming up," Nala said. "It's time to go." Scar let out a loud yawn and smacked his lips. He lifted one eyelid, growled, and sighed. "Why are cubs always so noisy? Come on, Scar, we have to get going." Another sigh. "My body is not used to all this activity. Hunting for my own food, escaping a trio of numbskulls. It's all too much." "Scar," Nala said with an exasperated sigh of her own. "We're almost to Karamba. You said it yourself. Let's go. It's time to find Simba and bring him back to Pride Rock." He opened both eyes at the mention of Simba. "You're right," Scar said. "That's the reason for all this, isn't it? To find my nephew. And bring him home," Nala said. "Now, where is Zazu? It's time for us to go." He must have heard his name because the major domo flew into the cave at that precise moment, a worm dangling from his beak. "Well, good morning," Zazu exclaimed after swallowing down the worm. "Yuck! I am happy to report that the weather looks wonderful. Not a cloud in the sky. It should be smooth sailing to Garamba, but hopefully no sailing down rivers this time. I think we have had enough of that." "Might I suggest a game?" Scar said as he executed the same stretch Nala had. "No talking until we reach Garamba. Doesn't that sound like fun?" "No," Nala and Zazu said at the same time. Scar rolled his eyes. "Fine, let us be on our way." Nala didn't need any further prompting. She dashed out of the cave, ecstatic to see that Zazu had not exaggerated about the weather. There would be no storm slowing them down today. The sunny skies did nothing to brighten Scar's mood, but Nala was coming to accept that this was just how he was. She had to admit that she was grateful to have him by her side as they set off for this last leg of their trip. She was even grateful for Zazu, although she wished he would play Scar's no-talking game for a while. It was funny when she thought about it. When she first came up with the idea of searching for Simba, she was determined to do it all on her own, which was why she had been reluctant to let Abena follow her the night she'd snuck out away from Pride Rock. Yet the younger cub had proved to be a great asset. Not only had Nala appreciated her companionship, she had relied on Abena for her hunting skills. And here she was experiencing the same appreciation for Scar. as she'd managed to get kidnapped by a pack of makakes during the only portion of her journey that she had traveled alone. She was lucky to have had Abena, Scar, and Zazu by her side. It got her to thinking maybe she should have told others about her plans from the very beginning. It wasn't the first time this thought had popped into her head since setting out on this journey. If she had shared what she knew with Sarabi, their queen would have dispatched the senior lionesses, and they probably would have reached Garamba by now. They probably would have been on their way back to Pride Rock with Simba already. And that's what this was all about, wasn't it? Finding Simba. Nala pressed her lips together as an unsettling realization forced her to face an upsetting truth. She had been thinking more about herself when she first set out on this journey, and less about her friend. She'd wanted to prove to her pride, and especially to her mother, that she could do this on her own. But at what cost? She had nearly got herself killed. Worse, she had almost got Scar killed as well. This was supposed to be about Simba. It was about her pride's future. Instead, she had selfishly made it all about her. She owed everyone in her pride a huge apology. Nala knew where she could start. Scar? She waited for him to look at her. I'm sorry. It's fine, Nala. I had to wake up eventually, he said. No. I'm sorry that you had to come out here to find me, and I'm sorry for making the pride worry. Even though it was for a good reason, she quickly added. But it was also selfish. I especially should have told Sarabi about Simba's plans to visit Garamba after the mongoose said that he had been spotted there. Oh, don't worry about Sarabi, Scar said. She will be so happy to see Simba that it won't matter that you kept such an enormous secret from her all this time. When he put it that way, Nala ran up ahead of him and started to walk backwards so that she could face him. At least my intentions were honorable, she tried. Of course, Scar said. We all have good intentions, dear. We just sometimes make stupid choices. Like saving your life, she reminded him. She shouldn't really throw that in his face, since she was the reason he'd been put in that position in the first place. But before he could bring up that fact, she quickly added, also, my mom says it isn't nice to call anyone stupid, and I wouldn't say I made a stupid choice. It was just unwise, but I've learned from it. And that is what is important, that you learn from your mistakes, Zazu piped in. I say it all the time. One can make a mistake, but one must learn from it. Nala had never heard him say anything like that before. Well, I would suggest that you make even better choices in the future, Scar said, like making sure you don't walk into a tree. Nala turned around just before bumping into one of the biggest trees she had ever seen in her life. She followed Scar around it and then stopped short. Wow, Nala whispered. They stood at the edge of what could only be described as paradise. Scar stuck his chest out as if he had created what lay before them and said, Welcome to Karamba.